This one is also kind of iconic. I just love these games. I'm so sorry. Well, hey there. If you are an incredibly specific kind of person, which fortunately, unfortunately I am, you may know that May 7th, 2024 is a landmark day. People have been waiting with bated breath because game 34 of the Nancy Drew PC game series is finally coming out after 4.5 years. If you are a normal gamer, that is maybe not like an upsetting amount of time to you because you are used to having to wait a while in between games. But for the Nancy Drew PC game fandom, and there are some other videos that go into much more depth about this, but there are 33, soon to be 34 games in this series. And back in the day, they used to come out twice a year. My birthday's in the summer, so I would always ask for them for my birthday and for Christmas. It's like a huge part of my childhood. I'll like link card to some other people who have more details about why it has taken so long for this game as well as the game before to come out. Like why we went from a 6-month cadence to a 4 to 4.5 year cadence. The girlies are upset, but hopefully this new game finally feeds us. We are so hungry. So what I want to do today is take some time to reflect on the history of these games, not in a useful way, but by ranking them foolishly based solely on my own opinions and vibes. And it's going to be fast because I need to scoot and go watch The Idea of You with my pals. But I feel like this is an extremely important current event that I need to add my voice to. So let me know what you think about this ranking. If you'd ever be interested in watching me play these games, because I'm pretty good at puzzles, not gonna lie, let me know. And if this inspires you to play some Nancy Drew, also let me know, because I do, in spite of literally all of the chaotic things about this series, I love it so much and I want to talk to more people about it. Okay, enough yapping, let's get ranking. So what would one of these ranking videos be without some creatively named categories? So top tier is literally play it now. Like these are games that when I get Manchurian Candidate activated to talk about these games, I'll be like, you must play this. These are the ones that will like actually get you hooked and that I think represent like the best of this series. The second tier is iconic. There are some games and very slay, but just don't quite necessarily hit for me, but these are the ones I acknowledge are very strong entries. Then there's My Baby's So Solid, named after Muna, obviously, and My Baby's So Solid is a game that is solid, maybe not quite iconic, but like definitely enjoyable, and I understand the love that it gets. Then in middle tier we have Forget a Girl, for the ones that are just kind of middle of the road, fine, whatever, not super inspiring in either direction. Then below that we have Oh No, which is when the game is just not giving, kind of a mess, self-explanatory. And then below Oh No, there is what I call Big Yikes, in which a game, for whatever reason, I'm already thinking of like one specifically, is just beyond an innocuous mess and into like a hot mess. Okay, so with all of this in mind, let me get my meows. Let's start ranking. Oh, and then at the very bottom is Don't Know Her. And I'm actually going to start by dropping a couple of these in there. They are listed here in chronological order, except for these last two, which are what are called like the Dossier Series. They have a story, but it's mostly hidden object. And I don't know them because I am not a hidden objects girly. So lights, camera, curses, and resorting to danger are unfortunately Don't Know Hers. But every other one of these 33 / they remastered the first one, so possibly there are already 34. I'm not going to count. Every other one of these games I have played. So now we get into the actual main series ranking. So the first ever Nancy Drew game that you could ever play is Secrets Can Kill. It's set at a high school in Florida, and it's about this mean kid, like this mean high school boy who gets murdered, and they call you, a teen detective, to go undercover and figure out who murdered this teen boy. And it turns out that the teen boy was like not nice, and so basically everybody in the town is like, yeah, we hated that guy. And so there are a lot of motives floating around. Something like very special about the experience is that when it came out, so old that the game was on 2 discs and you had like switch between discs constantly. Actually, I don't know if that was a lot of the first ones or just this one, but there was CD switching, which was always very stressful. 7-year-old me to figure out. Yeah, also the animation style, extremely 2D. Like all the humans look 2D, even though the environment like 3D, which is weird. I'm hovering over Oh No, but I think for its time, I'm gonna say it's solid. Or yeah, they were exploring, they were figuring out what worked, and then in the next couple of games they really hit their stride. So the second one is Stay Tuned for Danger, and it's set in beautiful New York City, which is where I live. Maybe I should replay it now. And you're like the set of a soap opera, which shows you when this came out, which I think like the late 90s when soap operas were more popular. But you're on the set of a soap opera, and like one of the soap opera stars is getting these threats, like ransom notes and threatening letters and stuff, and trying to figure out who is threatening this movie star and why. And yeah, this is another one that I haven't played in literally 1 million years, but I recall there are a lot of memes about it in the community. So I think Stay Tuned for Danger might actually be iconic, even though again it does kind of look pretty dated and probably also won't work on a modern computer without doing like a good amount of like compatibility settings. But I think I recommend that one more strongly than the first one for sure. And again, it's like finding its way. Okay, number 3 is Message in a Haunted Mansion, and you are in a mansion in, I want to say San Francisco, like a beautiful old Victorian house mansion that I think is like a bed and breakfast, and like hauntings happening in the mansion, and then eventually you figure out it's because there's a treasure, and so you have to do lots of puzzles, like find the treasure and understand who's trying to get it first, and you know, motives and stuff. This one is spooky. It's one of the first ones I play. Like distinctly remember playing it with one of my childhood best friends and being just so scared. Now I can't remember if we played the whole thing together or if I eventually played it myself, but it was very spooky to me and I didn't want to play it alone if I could help it. However, she is also pretty iconic, I have to say. Like, even though I haven't played it in 1 million years, I can picture some of the hauntings in it, and I can still picture like how you catch the culprit, like where you find the treasure. If you find the treasure, no spoilers. And this is kind of the one like the animation style really locks in. Like it actually looks good for a late 90s or possibly just turn of the millennium game. So like the next couple of games are pretty classic, solid ones. Yeah. Okay. Game 4 is Treasure in a Royal Tower. We love a treasure. We are once again trying to find a treasure. And this one is set in Wisconsin, but it's actually largely about Marie Antoinette. They said, hey, historical fiction girlies, here is a treat for you. That's actually a kind of a common theme in this series. Like you can very much see the kind of girly that they are targeting with it. And this one is for the historical fiction girlies, which I would like somewhat consider myself. And I like history. I like Marie Antoinette. And I like treasures. It's the guy who invented chocolate milk and has a castle. I don't know if he built the castle and then added on like Marie Antoinette's tower or what, but lots and lots of secret passageways and sneaking and history and family drama. Well, like wintertime, so there's like a good one to play at Christmas time when the snow is falling. It's very vibey, which I enjoy. I think this is actually like one of my faves to this day. I've replayed it a couple times, so I'm gonna put this in literally play it now. Like this is one that I truly recommend. It's not too scary and the story like very engaging. And there are also some iconic favorite characters that make their first appearances there and then continue to appear later on, which is very fun. So yeah, we love Treasure in a Royal Tower. Then the 5th one is The Final Scene, and it's set in St. Louis, and it is about actually I don't know why we're there, but we're visiting this movie theater in St. Louis with our friend, and then our friend gets kidnapped, and it turns out that this theater is getting demolished. And so I don't know if you know right away, but whatever, the kidnapper's motive is that they will release the captive if ever the city or whoever decides not to demolish the theater. And I would say that this one is all pretty iconic. I'm pretty sure this is the first one I ever played, which I also played with the same friend from Haunted Mansion. It's got a little history. It's about Harry Houdini. There's a movie star, Brady Armstrong, who you're supposed to think is cute, which is also another thing about these games. They're trying to appeal to girly interests and also like include a hot guy in them. But it's just very funny because like the animation style is so crispy, crunchy, deep fried that you're like, I see what you were going for, but is it actually giving? But yeah, final scene. Iconic. I should replay it actually. This is one that I have a lot of fond memories of. Again, like certain puzzles, secret passageways and stuff that are very, very fun. It's in a movie theater, but there's some general theatery stuff in it, which I enjoy as actor. So yeah, this is a really fun one. I still have a little bit more emotional investment in number 4, Treasure in a Royal Tower, but final scene, so solid / actually iconic. Then number 6, Secret of the Scarlet Hand. This is one I don't like very much. It is not the game's fault. I just don't like it. So I'm putting it in oh no. I'll explain the plot and then I'll tell you why I don't like it. The plot is that you're at a museum in Washington, D.C., looking at ancient Mayan artifacts, and like somebody's trying to steal the ancient Mayan artifacts or something. So that's like all very solid and well and good. But there's like there's a monolith in the museum, and I guess this is a spoiler, but whatever. In the end game, you trapped in the monolith and there's a dead mummified body in there. Oh, and you have to touch it. You have to touch it. And to this very day, I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not about that life. So it's actually, you know what? I'm going to move it to a big yikes, but only because oh no doesn't fully capture the amount of revulsion I have for that plot. Literally everything else about it is actually so fine, but I have never been able to bring myself to replay it because I'm so freaked out about having to touch a dead mummified body. That is so deeply yucky to me. Okay, number 7 is Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake. And you're at a lake in like Minnesota or like the Midwest somewhere. And there are these ghost dogs, like these dogs with glowing eyes, like run around. And I can't remember if they are just scaring people away, heralding sabotage or what. But this is a fun one. A lot of these I like check out from the library when I didn't own them. And so this is definitely another one that I have lots of fond memories of from the library. Now I kind of feel bad putting it in Forget a Girl. Forget a Girl doesn't mean it's forgettable. It just means that my feelings are neutral. And this is one that I think is pretty neutral. Like it's not really iconic. There's a lot of traipsing about in the woods, which is not especially fun or interesting to me. Although there is one location that gets revealed that's very cool and beautiful. And there's something like mobster, like the dogs are said to be the ghosts of some mobster or something. This is one for the dog girls. If you're like, I love dogs, then maybe this one's for you. Forget a Girl is not forgettable. It just means neutral. Although there might be some forgettable ones. I'll figure it out. Maybe things will move later. Okay. Ghost Dogs, fine. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Then we have the Haunted Carousel. This is a weird one. You're like, why is our carousel haunted? I definitely recall playing this a couple times as a kid. And yeah, there's like some family plot. You're at a theme park and sort of mysterious happenings are taking place at the theme park. And I think there's also a treasure that you're trying to find. Somebody's like trying to sabotage and scare people away for finding the treasure so they can have it for themselves. Yeah, something that happens in these games is that like if you mess up puzzles or run out of time or make bad choices, sometimes you die in a variety of ways, some of which like silly and others of which are very upsetting. And I distinctly remember like running out of time on a puzzle and getting hit by a roller coaster in this game. Also, the theme park is like underwater themed, which is sort of random. Maybe they were going for bringing in roller coaster tycoon community. But yeah, I think this is another one that's like fine. Nothing that makes me over the moon recommend it, but fine. Forget a Girl, but not actually forgettable. All right. Then the next one is Danger on Deception Island. And this was a clear volley for the marine biology girls, which I am not really, but I think I would also put it here in a neutral zone. And it's actually like relatively vibey because you're in, I want to say Washington. It's like the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of like cloudy, foggy, and there's an orca. I think it's like a wild orca that's in the town, and we're trying to like help the conservationists understand why the orca's there and help it like get back to its pod or something. And so yeah, it is admittedly vibey, quite nautical, but I'm simply not a marine biology girl in that way. So it didn't necessarily do much for me, but still like fun. Okay, number 10. Number 10 is very powerful. This one is The Secret of Shadow Ranch. You will notice the naming convention, which is oftentimes having to do with secrets, because you're a detective, so you're finding out secrets. Secret of Shadow Ranch is for the horse girls, which also I'm not really, although I guess I'm like maybe more horse adjacent than marine biology adjacent. I'm from Illinois. I've been around horses more than dolphins and orcas and stuff. But this one is definitely iconic. Iconic, verging on literally play it now. This is another one that I feel made like a pretty big leap in terms of quality. There's some really great puzzles. There's some really wonderful characters, interpersonal drama. You're at a farm in maybe Arizona or New Mexico, and it's like this ghostly horse gallops around and it glows, and all like sabotage things are happening and you don't know why. And I think it's also because of a treasure. But you're out in the Southwest, and you can ride the horses out to different locations, and the beautiful rock formations and petroglyphs with like drawings on the rocks that indigenous peoples did. And the end game in this one is really, really fun. Every game has a kind of quick time eventy end game, but some of them are really, really cool and exciting, and others are just sort of whatever. But this is a really, really fun, exciting, interesting one. Yeah, many iconic things happening all the time. So yeah, the horse girlies won with this one. They really did. Okay, next one. This is The Curse of Blackmoor Manor. And this is abso-frickin-lutely a play it now. If you can find a computer that will let you play this game, you must. So it's set in England at a manor castle thing, and you're invited there by I don't know. The reason you're invited to these places is always extremely convoluted, and it's like, why is my uncle's cousin's best friend inviting a theoretically teenage detective who never ages to investigate this mystery? Who knows? But whatever. So there's like a woman who married the owner of the manor who's not there. She's like a family friend. She's been acting erratically. And so you're brought in to figure out what's going on. And you discover that this manor was owned by this family, the Penvillans, who have like this incredible family history. And so, like, not to spoil or anything, because the plot goes so deep in this one. It's super, super fun. And yeah, it's about like fascinating family with all of this amazing historical stuff, tons of secret passageways, tons of puzzles. It's so vibey. It's so fun. It's a little bit spooky, but not upsettingly so. And like the story doesn't revolve around being extremely scary. Yeah, this one really close to my heart. Like maybe the best game. We'll see if my feelings change any later. Okay, but I gotta keep moving because I gotta watch this movie with my friend. Okay, so then we have number 12, The Secret of the Old Clock. Now this one is, I think I'm gonna put it in Forget a Girl. Again, a big volley. They set it like the 1920s. Possibly 20s or 30s. Basically, they're celebrating some anniversary of like the Nancy Drew books. And so they set it in the 20s in, I want to say, what, River City, Riverville, whatever Nancy Drew's town is. They set it there. And it's a period piece. You get to drive around in Nancy's little car, which is cute. And you solve a mystery about, oh gosh, I can't remember what this mystery was. So this is maybe the realest Forget a Girl of all. Like, I remember the 20s vibes. Maybe something, there's another game set in Nancy Drew's hometown about like a town outcast. I don't think that's what this one was, but maybe it is. Like, maybe there was a treasure. I think this might have been the first game I owned, like when I got into my birthday and Christmas cadence. It's kind of a bummer that I don't actually remember it. Sorry. Okay, next up, Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. This is number 13. And I'm going to put this one in solid leaning iconic. This one is also somewhat a part of the Yeehaw agenda. And you've been invited to this train by a Paris Hilton style heiress to find a treasure. And oh, the Hardy Boys are there. So actually, I'm bumping it up to iconic because it is iconic to meet the Hardy Boys in person for the first time. You have opportunity to like call different people on the phone depending on what game it is. So you've been able to call the Hardy Boys for assistance and I don't know, mostly for hints and more flavor. But in this one, they're there in person, which is iconic. There are also many funny things in this one. Again, really good puzzles, really interesting locations, a teensy bit spooky, mostly just vibey. You go to a ghost town, which is kind of cool. Yeah, some good mini games, some interesting characters. Yeah, we love Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. Again, the yeehaw agenda is kind of giving in these games. Okay, then we have Danger by Design, and I guess this shares some DNA with Blackmoor Manor, because it's like, why is this lady acting weird? And in this case, the lady is a fashion designer in Paris. Her name is Minette, and she's incredibly temperamental. So again, this is a game for the fashion girlies, and it's very, very fun. Is it iconic or is it solid? It's somewhere between solid and iconic. I just started watching a playthrough, so I think just because I'm feeling really favorable towards it, I'm going to make it iconic because, yeah, Paris is fun. All the voice actors are doing so much accent, which is hilarious. The plot is truly bonker. As you discover more of the story, you'll be like, wait, what? Which is kind of great. And yeah, you do some poking around in the catacombs, which is spooky. Again, there are like dead bodies present, which we do not stand. But there's enough other fun stuff going on that it's not that spooky. And oh yeah, this one also has a bonkers end game. So I guess get ready for that. But it's just kind of silly and weird and out there, not really taking itself too seriously, which is pretty fun. Okay. Then we have the Creature of Kapu Cove. Now this one I don't like. It's between an oh no and a big yikes. Maybe it's not quite a yikes because you don't have to touch any dead bodies, but it's just not giving. The Hardy Boys are in it, which is fun. In Hawaii, and there's a monster or something. I don't know. I played it and I was like, this is not that interesting to me. There's some bugs. There's like a quirky scientist lady. There are Hardy Boys. Oh, right. And you like switch between playing as Nancy and playing as the Hardy Boys, which is like an interesting mechanic, admittedly. But yeah, this game just didn't do that much for me. There is a character in it named Big Island Mike, who's like a huge meme in the community. Picture Tito from Rocket Power, but 3D. Yeah. But sadly, I cannot recommend this one. It's silly and weird, but ultimately not that fun. I didn't find a major replay value. Okay. Then we have The White Wolf of Icicle Creek. It's about a wolf. They said, hey, wolf girls, it's time to eat. This is another vibey wintertime one, which is great. But I think if I had a vibey wintertime game, I would pick Royal Tower above it. For me, I am not that much of a wolf girl, so I think I'm going to put it in neutral. Again, maybe I shouldn't have My Baby's So Solid, but I don't know. We'll see if anything else ends up there. But yeah, the wolf game, it's fine. I don't care about wolf. It's just, again, sort of like this one, but in the wintertime, where it's like, this creature is running around, and also things are being sabotaged. What's happening? I'm pretty sure in the end game is a snowmobile chase, which is kind of a sleigh. And you do some ice fishing, and there's games and stuff, but it's not as inspiring as some of these other ones that are higher up. Okay, then we have The Legend of the Crystal Skull, which is in New Orleans. And this one is iconic for sure. It has a goth/emo guy, which again maybe like reveals when this game came out. And Ned Nickerson, Nancy's boyfriend, tells her to check up on his emo friend Henry. So she goes to New Orleans and finds out Henry's like grandfather or great uncle or something died, and now it's like a big mystery to solve or something. This one is spooky, but again, spooky fun. There's like voodoo adjacent stuff. Maybe the representation of that isn't great, but voodoo adjacent stuff and creeping around. The big castle house has a graveyard on site, which is spooky. And this one's for the baby goths out there. And I'm not really a baby goth, but I really enjoyed this game. Again, great puzzles. And Bess is there. Bess of Bess and George. Again, Nancy Drew lore. Bess is there, and you can switch between playing as Nancy and playing as Bess and doing different things and sharing information. So that's kind of fun. I enjoyed this game quite a bit. Ooh, okay. Then we have the Phantom of Venice, which is set in Venice. And I think there's like art thievery happening, but Nancy's commissioned by the Italian government to go undercover and figure out what's happening. And it's a little bit goofy, and sometimes you have to dress up. And she does also do some dancing in this, which is wild. But I love this game. This one has major replay value for me. I've been to Venice and it's so freaking fun. There's some really great mini games. The end game sequence in this one is really cool. There are some fun characters. Yeah, oh yeah, the end game is really neat. It's so fun and interesting. Like wander around Venice and solve mysteries and play Scopa with an Italian mobster while you're dressed up as somebody else and dance in a club for tips in a child's video game. Like what? It rules. We love Phantom of Venice. It's like not quite play it now, but it's absolutely iconic. Iconic categories, honestly, killing it. These games rule. Okay, then we have The Haunting of Castle Malloy, and you're at Castle Malloy and like, a banshee that's been appearing. So this is another spooky one. Castle Malloy is in Ireland. Your friend or something, family friend, is getting married in Ireland. Her husband to be has like disappeared, and also there's a banshee running around, the title banshee. This one is also kind of iconic. I just love these games. I'm so sorry. This one's kind of iconic. It's kind of spooky, and then once you learn what's going on, it's like, what? Bonkers in a great way. Lots of silly little accents, delightful characters. You like work in a juice bar and earn some money or something. Do you do a teensy little bit of driving? No, there's like sheep herding activities. It's so goofy and weird. And like the story itself is actually kind of touching. So yeah, I think this one's iconic. Sorry, solid category. Maybe this is just for the original, whatever. Oh God. Okay. And then there's Ransom of the Seven Ships. This is a big yikes. They took a swing and it did not work for me or like anybody. It's just not that fun. Most of these games have like a really interesting cast of characters, and this had like one or two. You go to an island with Bess and George, and Bess gets kidnapped, and it's like, who kidnapped Bess and why? But unfortunately, like not that many people there, so it's pretty obvious who did it. And yeah, like the games aren't that fun. This is one, the plot is bonkers, but again, there's not enough other cool stuff going on to benefit it. I remember being really frustrated. Wait, what am I supposed to do in this game? So sadly, Ransom of the Seven Ships is a no for me. Oh, okay. Then the warnings at Waverly Academy. And I think I'm going to put this one in solid as well. So you're at an all-girls boarding school. So they're kind of going like Gossip Girl vibes. All-girls boarding school, super competitive. It's like a valedictorian scholarship that they're all competing for. And, you know, it's like these girls are so cutthroat. They'll do anything to get this scholarship. And so there's all of these mysterious events, sabotaging, girls dropping out of school, and they want you to go undercover as a teen detective who never ages and figure out what's going on. And yeah, this one, I don't know. It's not a forget a girl, but it just doesn't quite break through to like truly iconic to me. There's a little like secret society stuff and a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. They love historical figure who's just kind of absorbed into the plot for some reason. I'm not mad at it. Maybe I'll see if I can replay it, if I can find a computer that it'll play on. Like maybe this ranking would change, but for now, I think it's in this zone for sure. Maybe slightly more interesting than these. I don't know. So maybe I should have just made solid its own category. Whatever. Okay, Trail of the Twister is yet another oh no. Or it's like, what? Who's sabotaging the storm chasing team? I actually just saw a trailer for the movie Twisters the other day, and I was like, unfortunately, I don't feel that bad for these characters experiencing a natural disaster that they had plenty of time to run away from. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I just don't think like natural disasters are that fun to solve a mystery around. I much prefer a spooky castle. I like secret passageways. I like castles. I don't really like doing chores. This one, it felt more like chores than fun exploration. So I don't really recommend that one. Okay, then we have Secrets Can Kill Remastered. So they did a remake of the first game so that you didn't have to switch between two different discs and you could just play it on your modern day computer whenever this came out, which is maybe like 2010, 2009-ish. What do I think about this game? I think it is maybe actually less iconic than the original, even though it's more playable, but the things that you can forgive in the original one are just like the plot, not super thin, the way that the puzzles are structured are not super engaging actually. So I would maybe leave this one and forget a girl. Like I don't feel a great need to replay it. Yeah. Now like reconsidering like the replay value of these, but I think ultimately they belong together in this middle zone. Just consider this all the middle, you know? Okay. Then, Shadow at the Water's Edge. Now, Shadow at the Water's Edge is very fun for me. I think I would actually make this one a play it now. She's spooky. We're in Japan. We're at a ryokan, which is a traditional Japanese inn, and there is a ghost terrorizing the inn. And it turns out that everybody thinks it's the ghost of the woman who used to own the inn. So it's a family drama but it's also spooky. It's in Japan, and there are so many puzzles. The puzzles are so great. Like this is one for the big puzzlers. We got Sudokus, we got nonograms, we got a third kind of puzzle whose name I can't remember, but this is a thinker. Yeah, so many fun puzzles, very fun, spooky thing. I don't like to be scared, but if I'm gonna be scared, like let it be like this. And yeah, I love puzzles. It makes me feel really smart. The characters are really interesting. The storyline of the family is super interesting. This is another one that doesn't work very well on my laptop, but that's why I got a Steam Deck, you know? We love Shadow at the Water's Edge. That one's iconic. Beyond iconic to actual recommend. Okay, then we have The Captive Curse. Now, The Captive Curse is interesting in theory. You're at a castle in Germany that historically has been plagued by a monster. Like girls in this village go missing all the time, and the legend locally is that it's this monster. There have been monster sightings, and you're trying to figure out what's happening. And I think that it's fine. The gameplay is good and everything, and the characters are interesting, and the plot is interesting, but the ending of the game doesn't really have a payoff. So, like, I want to put it above some of these, but unfortunately, the ending kind of falling flat makes it more forgettable, I think. Yeah. Okay, then we have Alibi in Ashes, which is also set in Nancy's hometown, and she gets framed for arson for burning down the town hall. Drama. And this one, oh yeah, you can play as Ned, and you can also play as Bess and George. Like Ned and Bess and George are working together to free Nancy from jail. Drama, right? So this one, I think I would say is solid. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough puzzles or vibes to put it into iconic for me. I think I love a vibe. I love a castle. I love a location. And so unfortunately, River City or whatever the town is called is not that exciting to me as a location, even though I love hanging out with Bess and George and Ned. And I hope there will be another Ned game where we actually get to spend time with him and not just be in jail while he's doing stuff. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Then we have a Tomb of the Lost Queen. Tomb of the Lost Queen is set in Egypt, and I'm putting it in iconic because it is so deeply vibey. You're on an Egyptology dig, archaeological dig, trying to figure out, again, somebody sabotaging the dig. Why? What's going on? Like the person who's leading the dig gets like a concussion and has to leave or something, and so they send you to figure out what's going on. You're at the tomb of Nefertari, who was like the first, possibly only female pharaoh in ancient Egypt, and there's all sorts of interesting stuff going on and quirky characters. And it's a lot of, again, wonderful puzzles, like beautiful environments, lots of translating hieroglyphs, which is so funny. I hand wave it by being like, oh, these are special hieroglyphs that we've never seen before. And then when you translate them, literally just English words, but they wrote it with the specific hieroglyphs. It's funny, but I love that sort of thing. I love to crack a code, but I love ancient Egypt. This one is such a vibe. Super, super fun. Okay, then we have The Deadly Device. This is another one that I would consider iconic, high iconic, possibly play it now. It's about Nikola Tesla, Slay, and in Colorado Springs, I think, which is so funny. He's at a lab where researching electricity, like trying to continue Nikola Tesla's research and stuff. And like one of the lead scientists just died. So it's a murder mystery. Usually I don't go for murder mysteries, but this one was fun. So you're trying to think like who murdered the scientist and what happened. And you're poking around this lab. You're being a woman in STEM. You're meeting other women in STEM. And there is a mini game that is so excellent. I can't even really explain why it's so fun, but like there's a random arcade game in this building that you can play. Like, at some point you have to get a high score or whatever, and it's so fun. It's shocking. So yeah, we love Deadly Device, and Nikola Tesla's fun and interesting too. Okay, let's bash through these last ones. Goes to Thornton Hall. Pretty freaking iconic. I'm not sorry. So this is like Southern Gothic family drama. Actually shares a lot of DNA with this one. Family drama, big old house, secret passageways, ghosts. But yeah, it's Southern Gothic. It's like this extended family. Then one of the cousins on her 16th birthday or debutante or something dies in a fire on like the family's land, and then from then on she's haunted. And so one of Nancy's friends or something is about to get married, like supposed to be doing bachelorette wedding prep stuff at the big house, but then she disappears. So you have like find your friend, figure out what's going on. all the while getting spooked by this ghost. And who knows what's going on. And this one is rather spooky. And I do think like the Southern Gothic setting does like bring up some unfortunate implications that weren't really dealt with in the most amazing way. But it is admittedly quite vibey, very, very moody, very spooky. And yeah, I might have to play this one again and see how I feel. But yeah, a couple of really, really scary scares that are spooky and fun. Okay, then we have The Silent Spy. The Silent Spy is a game about Nancy's mom, and it is flawed in many ways, but I'm putting it in iconic because I do think it has replay value. So canonically, Nancy's mom is dead. And in this game, they're like, did you know that Nancy Drew's mom was literally a spy, like a baddie spy? And so Nancy like called to Scotland by the organization that her mom used to work for, because the threat that her mom was fighting is like now back on the scene. And they're like, only Nancy can solve this because her mom did. Like her knowledge of her mom will help or something. I don't know. But I think this one was fun. I like spying. Sneaking around is fun. There's a zip line, which is great. The deep lore of it is very interesting. Again, I like family drama in this era, which I quite enjoy. I will say the stakes of this game were very wild, because it's like the threat that Nancy's mom was dealing with and that you're then dealing with seems to be some form of like bioterrorism. They keep being like, they'll release a disease that will make people kind of sick, but like not fatally sick or anything. And it's like, I don't know. I think asking the teen detective to solve the bioterrorism, like weirdly high stakes for this game, but still enjoyable. Although as I speak on it now, maybe less enjoyable than a game that's not about big diseases, given the current situation. Anyway, next up we have the Shattered Medallion. And unfortunately, the Shattered Medallion is an oh no. It's another big swing, like based on some lore, like a beloved character who you hear a lot about throughout all the other stories, and then he finally appears in person in this one. But it's set a reality show like Survivor in New Zealand. And it's so chaotic and kind of all over the place, and solving a mystery and like the reality show and all the lore. It's just, like there's like too much going on for this to really hit. Yeah, so that's why it's an oh no. The puzzles weren't that engaging. Just ultimately did not give what it was meant to give. Ooh, then we have Labyrinth of Lies. This is a very fun one for me personally. I think I might put Labyrinth of Lies and play it now, if only because it is very meaningful to me personally. It's about ancient Greece. You're in Greece at a museum that is also presenting a play about Persephone. And there are artifacts at the museum going missing, and so like talking to the museum staff and the actors and figuring out what's going on. Again, some really wonderful puzzles, some really wonderful actor related stuff, some really wonderful ancient Greece related stuff. So like I'm like, how can I resist? Yeah, this is just, it's super solid. I really, really enjoy this game. All the little tasks, like working in the museum and restoring artifacts, so great. I really like it. And it will it probably won't work on your computer, which is a bummer. But yeah, this is one of my biggest faves. Almost no criticism for it. Oh, the criticism I have for it is that you have to go on the set of the show, and it's underground, so it's as if you're going into the underworld. And the whole time I'm like, how could you possibly build this? Like, what is this show? How does this even work? And they just kind of hand wave it away, and they're like, we have a state-of-the-art set. But it doesn't make any sense, but it's still really fun and vibey. So, rule of fun. Why not? Okay, last two. And then I have to dash. Sea of Darkness is the last game in the original series. It's the last game with the original voice actor for Nancy. So I'm putting it in iconic. I actually just started replaying it because it had a place of honor in the heart of the fandom. And so I kind of want to play it again and see if I can appreciate it more. When it came out, I was expecting the next one to come, 6 months later, and it really, really did not. It was like 4 years, 9 times as long. So I don't know if maybe the fan love for it is somewhat based on just big nostalgia for this really consistent era or what. But it's set in Iceland that you're exploring like a Viking ship. I think there's also treasure, and somebody got kidnapped. So many things. Like this man disappeared and somebody thinks he found the treasure and ran off with it, and then you have to figure it out and do all that by learning about the ship, which is exciting. And yeah, it's the last game that really, really understood and enjoyed. And it's set in Iceland, so it's like kind of dark and wintry and vibey, very moody. So yeah,
This is so funny. All of them are iconic to me. What can I, like, literally half of them are iconic to me. I'm not biased at all. Then lastly, we have Midnight in Salem. This came out in winter 2019, just before COVID hit. 4 years after this one. And unfortunately, there was so much buildup for it, and it really did not hit. They changed the voice actor. They changed the navigation system. Everything was super different in it. It was so delayed. They communicated horribly about when it was going to come out. Like, just kind of everything about this was bungled. And I feel like if the expectations hadn't been set so high by all the other games and then having to wait 4 years, you think that the new thing that comes out after all those years will be so much better, so amazing, and it just wasn't. It was a disappointment. It's like the Salem witch trials. It's set in the now times. The dramas in the town of Salem go all the way back to the Salem witch trials, and so you learn a lot of history and stuff. And I feel like it's such a good idea, and if it had been handled in the way that they dealt with some of these earlier games, it would be really great. My understanding is that they switched to Unity to build this game, whereas they had like a proprietary game engine for all the other ones, and they thought that switching to Unity would make it feel more AAA, but unfortunately it doesn't. I think Nancy Drew should have stuck to its indie roots and forged ahead rather than like innovating for the sake of innovating, you know? But we'll see. This is how I feel about all of the previous games. I have so much love for this series, and I am cautiously optimistic for the new one coming out. When I post this, it'll be tomorrow. So I'm going to try and find like some time to spend with the new one, get to know it, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe there'll be some streaming of the new one or one of the old ones. And yeah, I must dash, but look at these games, play these ones at the top and these ones in iconic territory. And yeah, if you play them, let me know and we can kiki about them because I love them so much. Okay, bye. I gotta watch Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine make out. Laters.